King's Forum podcast. This is the K Method with the founder of the K Method, Karo. Hi, Karo. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing really well. We are Thursday, officially going towards the end of the week. And yeah, I'm doing really well. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, there's making the most of lockdown and being productive within this time. Um, this week's subject is mental health and mental well-being. So we'll share some of our experiences and just have a little input into that, and how does the K method relate to any of this. So yeah, good food for thought and to spread awareness at the same time, and just be open and honest about you know we can all suffer with mental health, bad mental health, and it's just like being aware of that, and how do we cope with whilst we go through those down times,
Mhm.
and looking at the positives, and working on those things and giving us clear focuses to take us out of that slump.
Yeah, I think now than ever, more than ever, um, this topic is on people's minds. And I think the industry is exploding right now. Everyone, all the people who are helping with mental health, counselors, health first aiders, and coaches, and everyone is on board. I had a pleasure to work with few essential workers in NHS as well. So we have our hands busy, and whilst we all try to help each other, I think what is important today to speak about is what actually is mental health. Because there are so many stigmas around it, and we speak mental health, we speak mental ill, but we also say things like mental well-being. So I would be just curious to start all of it from uh, you, Michael, asking you a question. What does mental health or mental well-being mean to you? What does it stand for you?
I like relating it to experiences I've had and relating it to those things. Mental health, your state of mind, which affects so many ways, the ways you go about your routines throughout your day, how productive you are, um, how you can focus, your moods. Yeah, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of factors to mental health. It's not just one thing. I think it's how I think of it is a combination of things that have a massive knock-on effect to your productivity and how you function as a human being on your day to
Yeah,
day. And that's how I look at it. And mental health to me is always about your state of mind and the mood, and which affects your mood. You
yeah,
know, being able to think clearly and being able to focus,
hmm,
and not focusing on the negatives, the anxiety, worrying over things that haven't happened yet, thinking about the worst case scenario instead of just giving something your best and seeing
yes,
how it turns out, rather than having really before you go into that situation, negative mindset of, oh, it's going to fail, it's not going to work, and that's
hmm,
coming from a not a stable place. So
yeah,
mental stability, mental well-being is all about feeding those positive thoughts and
hmm,
positive behaviors, that affect our outlook on life and how we approach tasks, or how we focus on things in life. So that's
yeah.
what I think about mental well-being and mental health.
Hmm. And it's interesting because this is exactly where it starts. So promoting working on the mental health, or poor mental health
There you go.
starts from promoting well-being. So I think as you said, there are many meaning there are many meanings that people give to it. There's definitely this part of it that is about mindset, and whatever you put your mind into, but also understanding how disorders are created, especially in my line of work, helped me a lot to dig deeper into the experience of the person who actually suffers with a mental ill health. And what I realized is that, one thing that everyone that I worked with who either had anxiety or social anxiety or OCD or, even panic attacks or depression, was this kind of idea of there is nothing, there is either too much in the world or there is not enough in the world. And I think, your perception about on the world starts from inside, so it's all about
Mhm.
the mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So either look, we can choose to look at, the lack of, or we can choose to look at the abundance of, and the positive psychology is one of the examples of how people, the scientists, in specialists in psychology, achieved that, um how to say, a potion for, uh
Hear you. Yeah.
for people, yeah, for people to, to cure the anxiety of I'm not good enough, or there is not enough, I want something more, the grass is greener. And especially now with the social media, we are all stuck home, and COVID happened, and everyone has all sorts of things in their minds. But there are I like to think that there are 5 ways of well-being.
Okay.
um, One of them is connection, so to connect. And now more than ever, we can see this playing out in so many ways. We have Clubhouse. And that is a massive tool right now. People are connecting, and people who are not on the Clubhouse, so not the iPhone users, but the Android users, find that they are disconnected or they are left out. So, connection is a big word. I think connecting with each other on the level that is not superficial, and not just talk about movies, is something deeper than that. The second one, way to well-being, in my opinion, is to be active. Stay
100.
in your head. Tony Robbins said, I think, stay in your head and you're dead. So
Mhm.
getting out from your head and making it physical, feeling yourself on a physical level, and being active, um, does something with your brain, and does something with all those particles and dopamines,
Oh,
and all the other nice words that we hear everywhere. It does something to you. So that's number two. So we have connection and being active. Another way, in my opinion, to promote and to go towards well-being, mental well-being, is to take notice. So stop this whole idea, this philosophy of, being in a moment and experiencing things as they are, stopping for a second and noticing what's happening. Am I breathing differently? Do I need to go out and have a walk? Do I need to, observing yourself, and taking notice of other people too? I think taking notice of the situation, and removing yourself when necessary. And another, so that's number three. So we have connection, being active, taking notice. I think number four for me will be learning, keep on learning, growth. Takes you to places where you haven't been before, takes explores possibilities, shows you that there's more than just now and just the circumstance. Um, even going deeper into topics like neuroscience, understanding
mm.
how brain works, understanding how your body is connected to your emotions, how emotions work, understanding that emotions are just signals to something. It's just a feedback, a sign, road signs. Learning. It's just expanding your perspective on things and yourself as well. Taking notice. And the last one is to give. Best antidotum to, if you feel hurt or rejected, is to give. Um, and because you take attention from out of yourself and you put it into something else, something outside of yourself. So again, expanding that idea of like, oh, it's just me, myself, and my brain, to well, more than that I can give, and make it, and just kind of does something in your brain when you start giving rather than expecting to receive all the time. This expectation can lead to anxieties and fears and rejection and all sorts. Now, when you give, I feel like you're putting yourself in a position of power. You empower yourself, and you are the tool to someone else's change. And I think that's something, you know.
100%.
Yeah.
Let me give a little input into each
Mm-hmm.
little section you talked about. So one in connection, that definitely made me feel about not suffering in silence.
Yeah.
I thought it made me think about the times when I've had, bouts of depression, and I thought, well, you know what, I would just want to be on my own and left alone. And when I did actually share what I was going through and connect with someone who'd maybe gone through that before, or like my brother, he studied psychology, or reach out to him and have a chat to, it always made me feel better about the situation, that I could talk about it. When I would suffer in silence, it would make me, um, drop deeper and deeper in depression. I felt even worse the more I held on to that myself and didn't let it go and speak to someone and connect to them. I found it was harder to deal with it. And the more I could open up, the more people I could tell and share my experiences and connect with others, the better I felt. I felt I had some power over it. I felt I was in control over what I was feeling, and I felt, when I didn't do those things, I felt out of control. And I think that's when I think about poor mental health, that's what I think. You have no control over your mental state.
That's how you feel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you feel. You feel like it's in control of you.
Like, that there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, you,
like
you can't
trapped.
see your way out of it. So yeah, definitely when you said that, that's what I thought of. And when you talk about being active, massive thing for me, after dealing with COVID, coming through that and still dealing with symptoms of long COVID.
Yeah, because you had it at the beginning last year, didn't you?
Yeah, in March. So last year. So yoga was the biggest thing. And yoga's all about the breathing and being present. So it's actually exercising your body and your mind. Because of what it's doing is making you present and in the moment. So you're breathing through your exercises. A lot of it's all about your, being present.
Yeah. Taking notice. Absolutely.
Taking notice, and and that was massive for me. Yoga was such a big thing for me. And just exercise in general. When I used to do like the 15-minute, workouts, and they were great, and I would always feel better after that. If I began my day with that, it always put me on the front foot and make me feel positive about things. It puts a positive mindset, energy, a focus, a feel-good feeling in yourself.
Yeah, because it releases that hormone. I think it's dopamine, isn't it?
Yeah.
And a happy hormone as well.
That's right. And the third one was, Karo?
Again?
What was the third one?
The third one was, so we had connection, being active, taking notice, keep learning and giving.
Okay, so the taking notice one was it made me think about being aware of what you're going through.
Yeah.
Taking notice about what you're experiencing and having an idea of why you're experiencing it. So a lot of it was a lot of when I felt I was getting my control back over the anxiety and the panic attacks, and just feeling really low every time I'd get up in the morning was
Yeah.
being aware and thinking about what triggered. So was it something someone said? Was it a, something I wanted to do a project that hasn't worked out and I feel I'm getting nowhere? What was going on to why I feel like this? So I started
Mhm.
challenging my feelings and answering myself questions on why I was in this particular way. Why am I feeling like this? Why is my
Yeah.
mindset? Why am I down? So, and being really aware that, you know, this has probably triggered it. So I'll go back and revisit that in my mind and say, right, what was it about this that's made me feel, you know, so upset, so like a failure, like I can't achieve, like, you know, I'm not worthy of this, I'm not, you know, what is it? So that's what that made me think of. It made me think of being aware of your feelings and emotions and what triggers those emotions. And that
Mhm.
once you can try and get a handle on that is when you can deal with things, is when you
Yeah.
start saying to yourself, okay, I know that happens, but so what? You can't win everything. You
Yeah.
can,
It happens.
yeah, it
Yeah.
happens. Even
Mhm.
the best lose. Even, you know, even the smartest people, you know, have failures. Even, you know, the most successful in the world people in the world have failed at some point. You know, don't make that be everything. That's just some
Yeah.
one thing that's happened. Deal with it, move on, and be aware of why that triggered, or
Mhm.
that situation triggered this. So then the next time you have a similar situation, say, no, no, actually, don't get beat yourself up about this. This happened. Move on.
Mm.
Yeah. So no, that's
Yeah,
what
definitely.
triggered in me.
And I think it came this thing came to me, the saying. So every setback is a setup for the comeback, right? So it's almost like knowing that there will be something else after that. The season will finish, and there's going to be something coming. It's going to just make you more experienced and knowledgeable, and connected with yourself, and being able to see, you know, knowing yourself better. Yeah,
Yeah, hundred
definitely.
percent. Yeah,
So when
yeah.
when you were in this state of anxiety, I think one of the important things to know is that a lot of times it doesn't happen in that moment when it actually happens.
Oh, definitely.
When I was experiencing anxiety one day, I remember I was laying with my partner in the morning, and they noticed that just straight after me waking up, my heart was beating really, really, really fast, and I didn't notice that. Someone else had to notice that. I must have lived with it for a while, and and did not observe it. It must have become a norm, or something like that. And then my first panic attack or anxiety attack was 3 weeks after,
Mm,
and it came unexpectedly. I was the most calm person in front of a computer, typing my last email before I left home, and bang, came out of nowhere like an assassin. And I was like, what's happening? And then after that, I had to kind of sit down. It's like, damn, but I remember the warning signs. I just did not notice them. So, it's great to know that this is happening when it's happening, but we must remember that this is a collection of all
oh,
the things that are happening
100%.
beforehand. Yeah.
100%. 100%. That's how you get to that point. It's a number of things. It's a lead up,
Hmm.
isn't it? There's a lead up to this point,
Hmm.
and then it happens. Your body's just like, look,
Yeah.
it's amounted to it's got to this point, and this is how it's going to make you feel if you
Yeah.
don't feel it and you're not aware of
You
what.
are literally in the fight and flight response mode, where it's totally irrational. And usually, in the old times when we are still in caveman times, we had tigers, and we have all the different
Mm,
sorts of things that we are escaping. We needed to be watchful, to survive, really. And what is fascinating about brain, that this old signaling system that is in our amygdala, there's like a little part of the brain, um, is still the same. It works in the same way. We literally have a millions years old software running in our head, millions of years later. It's still the same. It's not upgraded, and so it has a function, and what it does is, you say, there's a trigger, and the trigger stops everything. So it's almost like it shuts down your digestion. It shuts down your thinking process. It shuts down everything that is not necessary, that could distract you from escaping the danger. So then we see the fight and flight response. We see your focus is, you don't know what's happening around you. You just see that one thing, that you're either about to die or you're getting crazy, and you
Mm,
have to, it's just an automatic response where everything goes out of the window. Your compassion goes out of the window. Your feeling of awareness, self-awareness goes out of the window, um, and it's just very, very fascinating to know that. Knowing that, that also can give you some sort of type of freedom of, because you know that this is not your fault. This is not something that you made to yourself.
mm,
It's just a response system, and being present and taking notice, as you said, to how we feel, um, on a daily basis, can um, um, stop this from happening, if it
mm.
makes sense.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm with you. I'm with you.
And so, in terms of giving, how did you resonate with that? Keep
What
learning and then giving. So number four was keep learning, and then five, giving.
keep keep learning and giving, then giving. I think in a way we touched upon it in the sense of, you're. I remember when let's go back to the like experience. I remember when I first felt uh, the feeling of being anxious and a panic attack. I remember that, wondering what the hell it was. I thought, I was having like a mini stroke or heart attack of some sort. I didn't know what was going on, because I wasn't used to experiencing. If I had, it was nowhere near to that, degree. So it was a shock to my system. So the learning part, I see it as the knowledge is knowing, understanding, um, yourself, your body, your emotions, your mental state, is a real, it's listening to that, paying attention to it. And that's where the learning for me comes into it, is knowing what this is about and understanding. So you
Yes.
you you then can look at behaviors and things to do in order to improve and not be so anxious, not have the
Mm-hmm.
panic attacks to that degree anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
it for me, that's the learning side of it, is understanding,
Mm-hmm.
knowledge of what you're going through, and taking from that, because that's the only way you can move on. Because if you
Yeah.
don't, then you're going to continue struggling with it, and having poor mental health. So you have to listen to your body, listen to your mind and what you're going through, and learn from that, learn from your experience. And then you look to build on that, and definitely come up with techniques and ways of moving forward, because that's
Yeah.
always going to be a major problem in your life. And I started really listening to my body and my mind, and what was triggering, what was upsetting me, why
Yeah.
am I down, but really, really analyzing what's making you feel that way.
In
Having,
order to find solution, right?
yeah,
Because there's also another thing, like, when you're gonna we have to be really careful about being stuck in the why as well. It serves its purpose and it's great, to the point where, um, when it serves its purpose, it's just understanding why, how it works, and then, so what's next.
of course.
I do feel like staying in the why for too long can be also, detrimental sometimes.
Yeah,
because that's staying in the head again.
yeah, staying in that moment, dwelling on things.
Yeah,
You look at that,
100%.
oh, move on, we move.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
So basically, we humans are so extraordinary. We can literally talk ourselves into believing that we are something else that we actually are. And the same about anxiety. We are capable of talking ourselves into believing that we are the anxiety and that there is nothing else to be done and we have a problem. And I think it's about changing the narrative. Yes, there is something that happened, and understanding that there are millions of people who have that, and literally, I would probably say every other person have experienced it at some point. So
mm,
we are not that unique.
no,
There is something, there is something that doesn't make that part of us is not the unique part, and so the attachment to it shouldn't be there. um, and then focusing on through learning. So what is the uniqueness about me? What is the unique part of me that makes me who you are, who I am? Why am I being put on this earth? Um, what can I bring? What do I represent? What do I stand for? I think that not being attached to the anxiety, being you, you know, because it's just a reaction. It's not even a part of us. It's just a reaction, a chemical reaction to something, a trigger um, that hasn't been acknowledged at some point. That spiraled up to the point where unconsciously we started to believe that there is an actual danger.
mm,
Um, it's very interesting. Giving, I think, is one of the things that I think is the biggest in all of that, because that's kind of this shifting, getting out of our head and ourselves, and using that uniqueness and to give, to help other people, to give. What do you have to give? What's your gift?
there's a pleasure,
Confiding in yourself. Yeah.
there's a pleasure from it. There's
Yeah.
a there's this good feeling you have from doing good and giving and
Yeah.
giving to others, and that could be knowledge or sharing experience that helps spreading awareness. Um, a gift you have in whatever it may be, in listening,
Yeah.
could be listening to someone else's problem.
Hmm.
But there's that feeling that makes you feel good. It makes you, it's to some degree, it's almost uplifting, an uplifting experience, and it
Hmm.
makes me feel good when I do good. Anyway, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's
That's how I feel too.
I feel joyful,
Definitely.
I feel full of
Joyful.
joy, and that overrides any negative thoughts I had about me. You
That
know,
overrides negative emotions as well, like anger, hurt, guilt, fear of judge, fear. Um, you know, being in your passion overrides a lot of subsets of the anger, which is the strongest of all of negative emotions. But when you were speaking, I thought, I read the other day. I'm like geeking on linguistics. Yes, my background is linguistics, but also neurolinguistics is also a language of the mind. So it's
yeah.
also about linguistics, so I'm geeking on that. And the other day I was curious. I was reading about confidence, and so in vocabulary, in dictionary, if you read about confidence, confidence comes from a word to confide. To confide meaning being confident. So being confident means to confide, to trust in your own abilities, to trust yourself.
Mm,
Confident meaning to trust yourself, to confide in yourself. So if someone says, "Well, I want to be confident," this comes with the trust in yourself, trusting your judgment, trusting your
mm.
instincts. So keeping learning and taking notice and getting outside of your head and tapping into the uniqueness that you have and all the talents gives you that confidence. because you start trusting yourself. You start trusting your judgment. You see people being touched by it in a positive way. As you said, it gives the good, good creates good, and that gives you the confidence. You start trusting yourself. Once you start trusting yourself, you stop questioning things, and the more you trust yourself, the more confident you are, the less fearful you become. So literally, the opposite of fear is confidence. Because fear is just, how to say, is an emotion that gives us a feedback about us not being prepared or
Yeah.
equipped enough. So the opposite of it is confidence, meaning trusting that we are. Coming from that place, and having all the, 5 techniques that we just discussed, um, can make you from fearful to thriving. And I think it's fascinating how we speak about it, the language around all that as well.
Yeah, when I think about things like anxiety, is that whole fear of coming out of our comfort zone,
Yeah,
or going for going to strive for something that you've not achieved before.
yeah,
That your whole makeup. You're
mhm,
going against everything. You're like, oh no, well, this is my comfort zone. This is what I know, and I'm confident in this because I've done this for a number of years. I've studied it, whatever it is. I believe in myself when I'm doing this. Now I'm going for this, which there's doubts. There's, I could fail, but you also could succeed.
you could.
But
There's a big chance. It's almost 50-50, isn't it?
the anxiety is focusing on the failure.
However, if you don't do anything, there's 100% sure that you're going to fail, definitely.
That's right.
So I think, not doing anything, you are setting yourself for a failure. And then everyone can say, failure is the beginning of success. The more you fail, the more you learn, but only if you failed because you tried. If you failed because you didn't do anything, then obviously, the chances to success is zero. It's so true. I agree with you, and I think I like what you said about the believing and comfort zone, and I'm just wondering, aren't we right now? We are all in our comfort zones. We are all working from home, most of us, and not needing to put any makeup for ladies, or it's just rolling out of bed. A lot of us don't do much. We are in our comfort zone. We can be literally ourselves right now, 100%. Eat what we want, be on our time, and I'm thinking, you know, to what extent being in a comfort zone is beneficial to our mental well-being. I think if we're gonna stay for a longer than another year in that zone, it's going to be very detrimental to many people.
Yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah.
comfort zone is comfortable, um, but it's not stretching, right? It's not moving us towards something that towards success. Really,
Yeah, I think it's too comfortable.
it's too comfortable,
It's
right?
just comfortable and too comfortable, too much of something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as humans, we crave connection, interaction.
Mhm.
That's a natural thing. That's why a lot of people are struggling with it, with being at home and cooped up and not being able to go out and socialize. And so the best you're getting is through a video call or whoever's in your bubble.
Yeah.
So it's the things we crave. We want to go out and see people and be noticed and have conversations face to face. That is, hug, kiss, embrace.
Gosh, you're going far right now. Hug, kiss, what? The other day we were watching movies and old movies, old meaning from before 2020, where people are going out to a restaurant and they're hugging. They're like, oh, now is not
Isn't it?
possible.
How weird is that when you watch it?
It is so weird to watch.
And
It's like,
to
oh,
see,
surely this movie hasn't been made in 2020 to 10.
yeah, it's strange, very strange. Yeah, it's, you imagine that we're living in a time where you're looking at that and thinking it's weird. When
It's
you,
going to be the year to remember. We have those millennium 2000 and 2010, and you have 2020, the big year. It's going to be something to remember. And I think one big word for it is going to be connection, as you said. People will remember it either as a disaster, or some people will remember it as a connection. Time for connection, waking up to something that they haven't managed to do, curiosity, uh, you know, all these big things that seem to be so normal now became a dream to many people. But I know, Mike, I know you have experienced a lot last year, and I just wanted to check with you. So there is a list of warning signs. When I was doing my mental health first aider course, we had a book, and I wrote them all down. So there are early warning signs of mental ill health. And I wanted to ask you whether you have experienced them, whether you've noticed them before the anxiety attacks begun. So I'm just going to read them through, and you guys, as you listen, hopefully that's going to also help you to notice, to start noticing what's happening before the actual attack. So, by the way, we don't call it an attack in professional terms, um, because we don't want to sound really negative, but they're happening. So the early signs of mental ill health is not getting things done, so missing deadlines or forgetting tasks, erratic or unacceptable behavior, irritability, aggression, and tearfulness, complaining about the workload, being withdrawn and not participating in conversations,
Mhm.
um, or being around people, increased consumption of caffeine, alcohol, cigarettes, or sedatives, inability to concentrate, indecision, difficulty remembering things, loss of confidence, that's interesting, unplanned absences in the things that you needed to go, like your appointments and stuff, arguments, conflicts, increased errors and accidents, taking on too much work, and volunteering for every single project. Being, I want to know why you're laughing right now. Being adamant that you are right, working too many hours, first in, last out, emailing out and off hours when you are at home, even when you are at holidays, being louder or more exuberant than usual, negative changes to ways of working or socializing with someone else. And then we have physical signs that might indicate a poor mental health or mental ill health, which is constant not tiredness, sickness, being run down, and frequently have minor illnesses, headaches, difficulty sleeping, weight loss or gain, lack of care over the appearance, and problems with your tummy, and rashes or eczema. So there's loads of them, all of them. And I'm wondering, why did you laugh? Did something resonate? And what are your thoughts?
What was that point again? But there was something that was, and then I thought about something else after, because of the last things you said. There was a lot relatable to what I was
Yeah,
going through when I had PTSD, coming from having corona and being hospitalized for 4 days. So
yeah.
there's a lot of that. There's a lot of what was going on there that related to me. The bad moods, overeating, not wanting to get out of bed, wanting to stay in
Mhm.
bed all day. Um, what else was a big one? Yeah, just headaches, um, upset stomach. Yeah, just being really irritable
It's
and
interesting because
and
those signs are the signs from also for mental ill health.
Mm.
And I know that that's, you've been run down and all that because of Corona. And I'm just thinking, like, look at that. Like, your physical has, if those are early signs of a mental ill health, and you've been going it because of the illness, this is where the mental health aid should be going first. The people who have been affected by the long-term illness
Mm.
like COVID, and your physical leads to your mental. And if those are first signs and you had them because of your illness, there's a big chance that you also went through some downs with the mental health as
Oh,
well.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Did it make you feel guilty that you, or any type of different emotions?
No, I don't, I don't,
No.
you know what it is? It's about moving on. It's about
Yeah.
moving on. I can't change what's happened, but I can affect my future and kind of how I learn from it and being aware of it, because I was very upset and angry when I
Mm.
came out of hospital, just because it set me back from doing what I wanted to in a year. So I was angry at getting ill at that time because it was all about New Year's resolutions and setting myself up to accomplish quite a lot um, for last year, and my health affected so much that I couldn't really. So I was angry at that. I was angry at the fact that I couldn't sort of take it out on loved ones and being very irritable and passive aggressive. And yeah, my health did. So I went to, I seek comfort eating because I don't really drink and just don't smoke.
Hmm.
So it was all about the eating. So I gained a lot of weight. So yeah, that was me, and then or suck with the migraines and the stomach problems.
So
But
did you
yes,
find it?
yeah.
Go on.
No, I was just gonna say it's about moving on, isn't it? Because there's
Yeah.
no point dwelling. It's like, yeah, I know I was going through that. I wasn't aware enough at the time, but as time went on, I started to get a positive outlook and start looking at, how can I start feeling better about myself?
Hmm. 100%. Um, and in terms of your community, do you feel like it was possible for you to talk about what was happening, or did you feel alienated? Did you feel like people won't understand you?
At that time, to be honest, I wasn't thinking about that. There was a lot of anger, and so a lot of it I was keeping it to myself, and I didn't really want to speak to anyone. So I was going. It was a time of frustration and anger for me,
Yeah.
and poor mental health. So I didn't really seek to um, confide in others. Um, I got out of this myself by being aware of how I was feeling, and that I was being an arsehole at times, and very passive aggressive and stuff. So yeah, I got my way out of that myself. I looked within, and I saw kind of where I need to improve, and how I need to move on, and I'm at a lot better place right now than where I was when I got out of hospital.
Yeah.
So you find that way, and it's just having a positive outlook and just move it, and just focusing on the good and not focusing on what's not quite right, and
Hmm.
achieving your goals. It may be a year later, but I'm on that path to achieving what I set out to last year before I got ill. So
Yeah. Just made you stronger. I think that's the word. Definitely.
and it
So.
also, when you go through things like that, where I was on a drip and I was in a very bad way because I had acquired pneumonia as well due to how poor my immune system was because of the COVID. So getting pneumonia as well on top of that. So I was really bad. So I had to take in oxygen and things.
Yeah.
So you start to focus on what's important. So it almost gives you this whole, let's stop. Let's stop a minute. Let's take stock of what's going on in your life and just focus on what's important in your life. And instead of wasting time on what's not so important and things you can't affect. Yeah. So that's what that made me do. That clarity came from being very low and poorly and depressed at a point and angry, to seeing the light and saying to myself, right, that was a low. You went through a really tough time. Now evaluate what's important in your life and what's going to make you a lot happier than how you were. And that's what that done. That just cleared things up for me and started just focus on what's important to you. You know, what can you affect? What can you make better?
Hmm.
And yes, there's going to be some ups and downs, but you know that because you're not perfect. No one is. And everyone makes mistakes. There was a lot of that telling myself, and that's what got me to this point was, you know, at a really low point, looking at, you know, how can I get out of this really low point and see the light from a really dark place. So that's kind of my mindset. There's a bit of that clarity there, and kind of, yeah, it was shit, but you know, you can control things going forward. You're in control of your anxiety, your mindset. These are things you suffer with, but they're not you. You know, you're not your anxiety. You're not your depression. You're more than that. That's just a part. That's one like small part of you that, you know, your mind tells you it's the biggest thing in your life, but it's not.
It's
And
not.
it's that
Yeah.
appreciation for, you know, what you're going through and understanding, should I say, learning the knowledge of what you went through and kind of taking that and moving on and taking steps forward to, you know, you're trying to look at this positive outlook on life and say, look, if I focus on these things that I know is very important to me,
Hmm.
you know, things should go in the direction I want them to, because that's all I'm focusing on. I'm not looking at what's wrong. I'm looking at what's right.
Definitely. And I think, you know, that level of vulnerability and also, you know, being honest with yourself, but also speaking about it out loud, um, creates that stepping stone for what's next. So what's next, we Mike? What's happening? What are we gonna do next?
What, next episode or just next in general?
Yeah, well, in general, like what's next, and what are we gonna do next? Like, what's next?
I
So,
thought
what's next for you?
I thought that was a
You know,
setup. That was a segue into the next episode. I thought that was. I
well, we can say that too. I think
thought
there's
that
a
was
lot of
really
things
good.
that we want to talk about.
I was say that was really good the way you did that. Um, what's next is just keep on pushing forward with the podcasts. I've got some other plans, but I'm not going to talk about them yet until I have them at a point where I feel I can start talking about them. Because I'm all around the mindset of talk's too cheap. Yeah, talk is very cheap, and we can talk everything up to be the best thing in the world. And until actions and, you know, we actually put things in place, till I want to start mentioning things. So yeah, there's more in the pipeline, but for the moment the podcast have taken enough of my time, because there's also the football fans forum I'm going to be launching as well as a football.
How exciting! Like, we want to make sure that you guys listen, and we want to make sure that you guys come back, because I feel like there's a lot that is going to be announced very soon, and it's quite exciting from the things that we are talking about before we started to record today. It sounds like there's some big moves going on, so I'm excited. Make sure that you stay tuned, and so we're gonna talk about many other topics. And thank you for being vulnerable, Mike, today. I think that was a great conversation.
Your image is gone for some reason. It's
Yeah,
nice.
I
It's a
know.
nice picture though. Your mind is your limit.
Thank you.
Don't let it.
It's just I'm recording on my phone, and someone just called me, so sorry for the image disturbance. But what I was just saying is, guys, make sure to connect on our social media. We're going to have all the links below, and also rate us. If you like what we say, if you like the conversations that we're having and the realness of it, you get something from it, share it, talk about it, refer it, and make sure to give us a thumbs up on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on LinkedIn as well. But on YouTube, and make sure to subscribe, hit the bell button, so that you know when the next one comes up. And also make sure to rate us. Give us a 5 star on iTunes and all the other platforms that you'll find us. 5 star helps our podcast to be found. The more people like it, the more it comes up. So if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, Make sure to follow us, to to pay attention. And yeah, so what are we gonna speak about next? What's
So
gonna be the next topic?
we're on this whole vulnerability trip at the moment
Yeah.
for me. So
Yeah.
it's going to be an interview. The
I
interview.
have an idea.
Yeah, what you do.
Make sure, guys, that you join, because we're gonna be interviewing someone very special about. We're gonna go deep. We're gonna go deep.
Oh, we got a
And
guest on the show, is it?
again,
Have we got a guest on the show? Who is it?
yeah, we're gonna have a guest on the show. Someone totally unexpected, but you have to stay tuned and come back to know who it is. This person, just to give a hint, this person, give it real. That this person is real. This person lives in a vulnerability state. He is very honest, and he loves go deep and vulnerable. So yeah, I'm so excited to do that. It's gonna be interesting. I have some questions prepared for it,
Wow.
and yeah, so it's gonna be cool. Make sure to listen, tune in, and that's it from my side, really.
Yeah, just want to say a big thank you to Karo as always, the K Method.
Yeah, thank you.
And just like, subscribe, share, like Karo said, it just helps us with our content as well. The more you share, the more content we're going to have from the comments as well that you put below. So yeah, just thank you very much. And there'll be more of this
Yeah,
content as we go on. And that's all from me.
yeah. If you have any questions or comments, we're reading them all. Drop us a comment, drop us a message. We love reading them. And maybe, if there's a topic that you want to hear and speak about, or hear more, go deeper, you can give us some ideas too. So we appreciate you. And thank you so much, Mike, to have me again. That was a pleasure. And what a great chat.
Yeah, no problem. See you soon,
See you
Carol.
next time.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye-bye.